Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening, good afternoon, rather. Our subject today is Undefeated by Eminent Domain, the Lee family rebuilding after displacement in World War I. James Monroe Lee was the patriarch of the Lee family. He married Emily Bird in 1867. They were my great-great-grandparents and Rosa's great-grandparents. Both had been enslaved. Both are buried in the Cheesecake Kiskiak Cemetery. James Monroe had carpentry skills. He built canoes for his sons. He built houses. He built coffins for young children. And he cut the trees for the original St. John Baptist Church that was on the reservation. John and Martha are my great-grandparents and Rosa's grandparents. They had experienced a lot of loss in their lives. They had 6 children that lived to be adults. They lost 3 children in infancy. Martha lost her first husband in 1903 due to a boating accident. He died within sight of their home. James Monroe Lee's master taught him the trade of carpentry, and his brother David also was skilled. David built boats and painted boats. In 1917, James Monroe Lee, his daughter Hattie, and Hattie's daughter Maddie all died within 3 months of each other. Hattie died at 43 years old in February. Maddie died at 23 years old in October, and James Monroe Lee died 4 days later. This was a year before John and Martha would receive the eviction notice from the U.S. government. In 1918, President Woodrow Wilson signed Proclamation 1472. The people of the reservation would have to leave their homes and livelihood to make way for building the Navy Mine Depot, which is now known as the Naval Weapons Station Yorktown. They would experience 79 families sign the petition, and our families, the Holmeses, the Meekins, and the Lees also signed that petition, and they requested additional time to stay on the reservation, and the government gave them about 4 to 5 extra months. And there were between 600 and 800 families in the reservation. John and Martha purchased 19 acres in James City County, and they moved to the Penniman Road area. The property they bought had a 3-room cottage and a barn. The family, having been carpenters and creative people, they added several rooms to the cottage, and it became an 8-room house. There were 2 porches and a front porch. They would experience eminent domain again 2 more times. They had to, in the 30s, they had to give up a part of their property to make way to build 168, which is now 143. And if you live in Williamsburg, everybody has traveled down 143 at some point. In 1945, when World War II started, they had to give up additional property to make way for the railroad to provide transportation to Cheatham Annex. So today we will focus on 3 of the children: Yearda, who is my grandmother, John Henry Lee Jr., and Ezekiel Lee. I'll add some additional information about my grandmother after you view Curtis's video. We'll briefly touch on 3 of the other children, Alexander, Lillian, and Leander. Unfortunately, there's not enough time to cover all 6 siblings. Yearda's legacy was her nurturing and caring personality and the lineage she left. She had 1 daughter, my mother, Mary, who's also called Peach. However, she has the most descendants of her siblings, the largest group still living in Williamsburg and the largest group still residing on the homestead property. I have included several pictures of my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren because this is their story as well, and I want this video and this presentation to inspire them. I believe that one or more of them will continue the history of our families and the reservation's families. My brother Curtis could not be here today because of some medical problems, but he is doing fine. But we will show a video for that he has made shortly. Curtis is married to Cynthia Caesar Lassiter. They have 5 children, numerous grandchildren who call him Pop Pop. He's a graduate of Bruton Heights High School, Virginia State College, now Virginia State University. He was a Vietnam veteran, a lifelong resident of Williamsburg. He carried the moniker of mayor of Williamsburg at one time, and he is about the busiest man in town. He's a giver and a doer, and he's a deacon at St. John Baptist Church, and he's been a deacon for approximately 22 years. So Curtis Buck Lassiter, along with his comfort support dog Frisky, will present a video about our grandmother, Yearda Lee Smith.
Good morning. It's a beautiful morning on the Colonial Parkway, and I'm here to do an interview on my grandmother, Yearda Smith, who was a descendant of the reservation, now known as the Naval Weapons Station. And Yearda Smith, as I know her in the 50s, was my grandmother. And my grandmother was a person who I would say we had deep thoughts of her life on the reservation. And as we went out from as she went out from the reservation and became an adult, she used to, what I know about her, my grandmother was a person, she was a person who loved to fish. And lots of our fishing, if not on the boat, it would be down at the creek where she was raised as a little child. And my grandmother used to always, well, my uncle, her brother, informed me about Felgate Creek is where our family originated from. So that's a part of life that I didn't know about, but just listen to them talk and listen to them, she and her brother, and she used to refer to him as my brother Johnny and my brother Zick and my brother Alec and brother Lee, which was Leander. And she would always talk. We didn't have that much communication with my uncle Leander, but my uncle Alec and he was a little child when we came off the reservation. But he did remember some things about it. But my grandmother and my uncle Zick and my uncle Johnny, they used to always refer to the reservation. And some things about my grandmother that I knew about, and I only knew the life after the reservation. And she was a person, she took care of lots of people in the community. We had a big old house, as I refer to as a big old house. And she would rent rooms out to people from Fort Eustis. They come to stay. We had a room up over the kitchen, and that's the room she rented out for several years to several people. And then she was also a person who did a lot of caretaking for little kids, and we even had little kids to stay with us. And there's one. Yeah, fast forward, and my mama used to, like I say, take care of a lot of kids. And then as she got a little bit older, things that I remember about her, just at her life with us as my grandmother. she used to take care of us, and then there was about, actually, I say on the yard, her brother lived next door, and he had 8 kids, and we had 5 kids. And she never did work because she had had heart problems, and so she stayed at the house most of the time, and she would take care of all of us almost all the time while we were out, and as we grew up. And I can recall my mother had to go to work in the morning. She would take care of us and prepare the breakfast for us, and she would see to it that we would get on the bus. And then I remember when I was in the 4th grade, I used to have a Bible scripture of an alphabet, start with a certain alphabet. And she would fuss at us because as we get ready to leave out the house in the morning, she would be so stressed out that she would have to try to find a Bible verse for me to take to school. And then she also, when we left, she had the little kids that she would take care of. And then she also had the run of her house because we all lived with her, my family, and my mother was the only child. So with my mother and dad and the 5 of us, we stayed in the house with her for several years. And we would have to have chores around the house. And then on Sunday mornings, when the church bell would ring, she was mostly fussing about us, get out the house or had to head down to St. John Baptist Church. And just getting on St. John Baptist Church, that was a place where, even from the reservation, my ancestors, they were partly responsible for the church being built here in Williamsburg off of Penniman Road. And we just had a feeling of a part of us at St. John. And then as I think about it, we had my great-grandfather, I think great-great-grandfather was a deacon there at St. John. And he was one of those who brought some of the lumber there to the church. The first church that was built here in Williamsburg off of Penniman. And then they were part of the trustees to sign for the other church that was built here on Penniman Road. And it was all St. John, but as they progressed, they moved from one church to another church. And I think this is the 3rd church that was built. And then, like I said, my great-great-grandfather was a deacon there. And now today, my son, Carlin, is the pastor of St. John Baptist Church. Stop. Yeah, we used to go down to Isa Johnson Landing, and before Interstate, and we used to call Creams Creek Road the Fort Road. And I didn't know why we called it the Fort Road, but I'm sure that there was a reason why. And as I got older, I learned that it was part of the original fort here in Williamsburg. And we would get on our track. I think we started out with the horse and trail, the carriage, and we put the boat on the carriage and carry that through it. And then we got a tractor. Then we would go down to the landing on a tractor. And we had potholes and ditches and stuff we had to encounter as we went down, and because we made our own path through the woods to get to that landing. But my grandmother loved that fishing place, and to get on the boat, and I see how we were going out to the York River from the Queens Creek. And the same creek, as I ride through it today, I see it in a different view, but it's the same place that we used to head out to go fishing. And then she used to fix sandwich and a Kool-Aid or something for the day, and it was a day trip that we had, and come back in the evening. Then I can remember we would go out, and then sometimes if things weren't looking too good, some people would have crab pots, and I think we used to, if I recall, I think we used to rob some of the crab pots and come home with almost a bushel of crabs. But anyhow, getting back to the home front, Mama used to she kept the house spotted. It was an old house, and we used to have to go out in the yard and sweep the yard in the afternoon. We had a big oak tree, so we didn't have very much grass around that. But every Saturday, I can recall, we would go across the road and where the small sapling pine trees, get the branches off that, and we'd come home and we would sweep the yard. And then in the house on Saturdays, we would, Carl and I, we would get on the floor, get on the rag, and wax the floors in the living room. I know that for sure. And then we would, it's just Sundays, we would have a scrumptious meal that she would prepare, and every Sunday we always had 2 meats. And even though we were poor, and I poor as I remember, but today I say that we were sort of rich, because the things that we had, we always had whatever we needed. We didn't have anything extra, but we always had, we never went without a meal. And Mama Yearda would do some, she was a creative lady, and we lived on a farm. We had a big garden in the backyard, and every year we had a cellar in the house, and she would do canning, and we would get canned food that she would can over the summer, and all winter we would have it. And then she had creative ways that I know in the winter times when all the apples were going off the trees and everything, she would go back in the room and go back in the closet and go back in the box that was hidden from us with cloth over it and wrapped in newspaper, and she would come out with apples that we had during the summer, and they were still like fresh in the wintertime. And we couldn't figure out how that thing was done, but she would do stuff like that. She would cook our breakfast in the morning, and like I say, she loved fish, and we would always have that baked fish sometimes, and we would always have some kind of fish, salmon cakes or something like that. And then we had an old wood stove, and she would fix we would call brown Betty, some kind of base, and with how would you describe it? With like a breaded thing, and it was we even had applesauce or some kind of fruit or apple butter inside of it. Oh, it was so good. And these are the things that I remember that Mama Yearda used to do. And she would see to it that we would get up and go out and help my Uncle Johnny in the garden in the summertime, and we would pick the string beans and the things that were growing early in the spring. And I can recall I can't think of the name of it, but the little blue things that would come out in the morning. Oh, the morning glories. The morning glories was something that, that I knew that would be growing up on the vines where the string beans and the butter beans and stuff were on. And it was just a fragrance that I can recall today at 70-something years old, that we used to, things that we experienced as a child. And then she was a real clean lady, and she kept us.
We're going to show you some slides of our family. That picture is the homestead. That's the home that John and Martha Lee built, and many of us lived in that home. Rosa's family lived in it for some years, and my family lived in it the longest time. And we lived with Mama Yearda. My great-grandparents had passed before I was born. And this is Lillian, Mama Yearda's sister, in the dark outfit, and that we call her Aunt Lily. And she was quite a character. At one time, she ran for the Board of Supervisors in James City County. She didn't win the election, but that was quite a bit for a black woman to be aspiring for a position like that. And I think it was 72 or 75. I can't remember. And can you go back, Janelle? And that's my grandmother and her family. She married Bill Smith. William Bill Smith, and that's my mother as a child with them, and Grandpa Bill's uncle, his father, and his aunt on the side. Thank you. And that's my mother. Everybody called her Peach. And that's one of her granddaughters that looked a lot like her. And you're going to see a lot of my grandchildren and great-grandchildren and nieces and nephews. Because my aim today is to try to inspire them to get involved and to feel like this is their story to tell as well. And this is the well. That well means so much to us. That was in our yard, and that's Uncle Johnny pictured, and it's the same picture of the well there. But we can't think about home without thinking about the well. And the neighbors, a few neighbors used to use the well as well, and other people in the community, if their water system went down, they would come and get water from our well also. And that's Mama Yearda. She was working just for a short time for Colonial Williamsburg. She couldn't work very much because she, like Buck said, she had rheumatic heart. And she wasn't predicted to live past 6 years old as a child. But she ended up, I think Mama Yearda might have been in her mid-50s when she passed. She passed in '62. So that's just a picture of her at the Governor's Palace. And these are her two brothers. That's Uncle Lee on the left, and he was the one. The property was still in his father's name when they had to give part of it up for 143, but it was his home that was moved. He had already built the home, and they had to move his house back, further back onto the Lee property. And this is Uncle Alec, and Uncle Alec has done oral histories for several different organizations. That one happens to be from Colonial Williamsburg, and he's talking about his father's oystering business, or how it had dropped during the Depression. And this is a church, St. John Baptist Church. Can you just go one forward so I can show the old? No, I'm sorry. That's good. That's good, Janai. This is a picture of the church in 1884, and when they moved, they took the church, physically moved the church to Penniman Road, and they built this 1922 church on Penniman Road. And that's a picture of our baptism. That was probably maybe in the 50s, probably no more than early 60s. And at the time, Reverend Solomon Wesley was our pastor. And this is a picture of St. John Baptist Church as well. And the government took this during the commandeering process. And at that time, my great-grandfather, Lewis Taylor, was one of the trustees, and they spoke with him, and they ended up giving the church $4,000 as compensation. And as Buck said, his son Carlin is now the minister. That's our present-day church, and that's Buck's granddaughter, Kaden. That's several years old, but that's her climbing up the steps. And the Lees have always been involved with St. John Baptist Church. James Monroe was one of the first deacons. All of his children had some type of position in the church. And I just learned recently that his daughter Hattie was also the church clerk in the late 1800s. And we don't know much about Hattie, and nor do we know much about my great-great-grandmother, Emily. And I think I did mention that Buck is a deacon now. And we've done several oral histories, and we were fortunate that the Village Initiative gave us the opportunity to be a part of the online exhibit to tell about the reservation and our families. So we went down to Felgates Creek one day, and we had a good time. And the children were there, and we sat around, and Rosa was doing some oral history with them, and we had snacks and whatever, and we just felt the ancestors were with us on that particular day. And we have also done some a few TV news reports, and Buck and Carlin were both a part of that. Buck was actually pictured from a previous video that the Village Initiative had done, and Carlin was actually out there on the being recorded with Andy Fox, and they were telling about the reservation, and that was during Black History, and I think that might have been maybe 2 years ago. And I did some myself. We were at the Hampton History Museum, so we did a promo to tell that we were going to tell the story of the reservation there, and I was on Channel 13 News. And this video is an oral history that Professor Amy Quirk did, who's a part of the Village Initiative. And Christine is in the audience. She was part of it. And Christine doesn't do a lot of the oral history presentations, but she is an intricate part of our team as far as cooperation, and she's the one that provides me with a lot of pictures and newspaper articles, and I call her and I complain and I tell her what's going wrong, and she encourages me, so I really appreciate her assistance. And that's my mother and some of her cousins that lived on the property. And all of us, I don't think I mentioned it, but all of us lived on 19 acres when we were growing up. So we were all each other's neighbors. And it was good. And especially my family and Rosa and Christine's family, we were like sisters and brothers. It was like one big family. We were right there together. And I had done something at an art center, and my family members came out to share in that experience. And Carl is my oldest brother who lives in Wisconsin. And Carl is he's done oral histories for the Village Initiative as well. But this one was, he had done this to help us with our name campaign that we're trying to change the name of Magruder Elementary, and so Joe Caterin had recorded him for that, and I appreciate his help. And Carl is very much an activist out in Wisconsin. And this is Caden Buck's granddaughter, and she was at Let Freedom Ring Gala, and she was presenting, and they love Kayla. So she's I'm sorry, not Kayla, Caden. So Caden is always out in front. And these are just more of the family members, the ones that I'm trying to encourage to get involved. And can you go back one? And that's Carl receiving an award for the NAACP. He's been very active in the NAACP as well. And Uncle Zick was active in the NAACP also, and Uncle Alec. And these are just more family members. This was at Carlin's installation celebration. And these are Crystal and Carlin's children, and these are the children that still live on the homestead. So that's one of the things that we're really proud of, is that they're still there. That's my niece's wedding, and just some of the males in the family, some of the athletes in the family, just more of the children and grandchildren. And that is it for my grandmother's section. And next we will have Rosa Lee to talk about John Henry Lee, but before Rosa starts, we're going to show just a few videos of John Henry Lee, and this particular video is a reenactment that he did for Colonial Williamsburg. I was around 8 years old, so that you know that was many, many years ago. But when you see it, he's putting the net out, and I'm sure that they selected him because of his skills with being in the water. So. These are very short. These are the Odd Fellows and the Household of Ruth folks. Rosa?
Thank you. I will be talking about my father, John Henry Lee Jr. He was the fifth of the 6 living children of John Henry Lee and Martha Taylor Lee. It was my privilege when Mary asked me to talk about my father because I was 18 years old when he passed. He passed in 1966. So it gave me the opportunity to go back because you think of your parents one way when you are a child, but as you become an adult, you think of them different ways. But my father attended this segregated, inadequate school system for black children in Williamsburg during his period. He completed his education in the 5th grade. After that, he went to work. I guess he farmed first, but eventually when Colonial Williamsburg came to town, he found employment with CW, Colonial Williamsburg, or what they called the restoration, once Williamsburg was restored back to the old days. My father never left Williamsburg. He remained in the area for all his life. He married my mother, Josephine Parsons, when she was 19, he was 28. They had 8 children. I'm the 6th of their 8 children. We actually lived in the home of my grandparents, John Henry Lee Sr. and Martha Taylor, until John Henry contracted tuberculosis and we were ordered to move out of the home. I was 2 years old at that time. I must say I don't have any memory of my grandfather or my grandmother. As the Lees were always very close connected, once we moved out, we moved into the home of my uncle Leander Lee and all the uncles of John Henry Lee, and the brothers came down and they built this house very quickly, because when you got 6 children, you cannot stay in somebody's house forever. So they threw up, built this house on Penniman Road, which we moved into the home, I guess, when my sister Christine remembers, because she says she actually remembers when they were building the house, running through the rafters as they were putting up the floors. Initially, it was just going to be a 1-story house. When one of the uncles said, "Oh, John, you got all those children there? Put up a 2nd floor." So it was a 2-story house. The house remains today. Just recently, in 2023, I sold that family property because Of my 8 siblings, 4 are deceased, and I live in Washington, D.C., have not lived in Virginia in 50-some years, so I'm like, why keep the property? So the house remains, but the property is no longer the family's. My father, in my opinion, was a very, very good man. He cared a lot for his children. He always wanted the best for us, but he also looked out for other children. My father was a worker. He worked very hard. In fact, as a child, I often thought he owned Colonial Williamsburg because he had a key. And oftentimes he would come home and he would say, do you all want to go back up with me to close down? So because he would come back and lock things up at the Capitol or what have you, I thought he owned Colonial Williamsburg. My father believed in hard work. In addition to working every day on his job, when he came home with his Colonial uniform on, he would change out of his work clothes and put on clothes to go in the field. And when he went in the fields to work, because we always had a farm out back, as I say, when you have 8 children actually, because 2 more came along, and my father believed in having food for us, and we often had to go into the gardens of the farm with him. A lot of the food that we raised, we gave away. I would often say to my father, well, they don't come out and help us, okay, in the farm. Why do we give them food? But his thing was that because they need it. So we would share whatever we raised. But that's just the kind of person my father was. It was a wonderful experience growing up with him, and I appreciate the lessons of life that he poured into us. I appreciate having loving uncles and an aunt who was around us, because we lived right next door. Our home was built right next door to his parents' home. As I say, he stayed with his parents a long time. But they all looked out for us and treated us, we were like two families, well, one family, but in 2 different homes. And yeah, so basically that's what I have to say about my father. But it was a wonderful experience growing up with him, and he left a lot of life lessons to be shared that I often shared with my daughter, as how to treat people and just how to be a good person, because that's what he wanted for all of his children, all 8 of them. Okay.
Can you go back, Janaya, to that last screen with Rosa? Rosa, can you tell us anything about that particular scene? Vision Network, can you see it?
Oh, yes, that was a presentation that I did for my girlfriend does a TV program, and she had me to come and speak on her television program. I was listening to Dr. Black this morning in his speech and talking about writing, and I've always loved to write. Never would share my writing with anybody, but always I just had these booklets just piled up in my house where I was writing stories. And in 2016, I took the initiative with the encouragement of a friend of mine to share my writings on African Vision Network. And this story that I was writing was called Quiet Determination. I wrote this in 2016 because it actually exemplified my family. With quiet determination, they left the reservation with the idea of just surviving, providing for their families. And so from that writing from 2016, that was, I would call, my first published work, published just for me. I don't think it went anywhere, but I did share it on this African Vision Network, which is a television station in, I think, Arlington, Virginia.
Uncle Alec did a lot of oral histories. There are articles that have been published in newspapers about that he has given, and most of them were back in the, I guess the 90s, maybe the 80s. Can we see the Oddfellows Lodge? This is the Oddfellows Lodge, and they had Oddfellows on the reservation. They participated in that, and the Oddfellows used to do a lot of charity work and help pay for funerals and things many years ago. And that's a tradition that they started. And they would, on the reservation, they would have a big turnout once a year, and they kept that tradition for a while. I know they had it when I was a child, but I think that the turnouts may have stopped, or either we just didn't go to them after a while. Thank you, Janiyah. We're going to have, next will be Berrender Johnson. But before she does, we're going to show a very short video of Uncle Zick in motion laying bricks. It's very, very short. And then we will have Berrender Johnson speak. And Berrender is one of the people that lived in one of Uncle Zick's houses.
Okay. Mary, before Berrender speaks, I just want to go back. Mary had put my daughter's name there, Dr. Nidra K. Lee, and Nidra is a professor, assistant professor. She now has tenure at UMass in Boston. And I think I talked so much from the time she was little, dragging her around to everywhere, until it was just a natural that she moved into that field. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, I'm sorry, Berrender. I'm going to introduce Uncle Zick, and then we will have Berrender. Uncle Zick was known as Ezekiel Lee to the Williamsburg community. A lot of people call him just Zicka Lee, and to us, he was Uncle Zick. Uncle Zick was married to Etta III. They raised Nancy Price, who was related to Etta. They later adopted Nancy. Nancy and her husband, Charles James, had 3 children. Uncle Zick was affectionately called Grandpa by the entire household. He had one son, Judson, who died in a car accident, or I'm not sure if it was a car or a truck accident, but it was a pretty horrific, maybe was it a bus or a large truck hit him. And he was in his very early 20s. And Uncle Zick had never been married. Uncle Zick had been married 3 times, and Judson was his only biological child. And I believe Judson was by his second wife. Uncle Zick was active in the NAACP, and he worked with Charles Brown, who was the state president. He took his granddaughter Kim to meetings, and they traveled to Charles City County before there was a local branch. Uncle Zick attended Virginia State College for Negroes, which is now Virginia State University. He was also a member of the local Black Caucus. He gave an impassioned speech. He collapsed and he passed away at the meeting, and he passed away within 24 hours after that. And he had given some words, I can't really remember them, but it was something to the effect of he had done his work and he was ready to go. That might not be the exact words, but that was the message that he was giving the audience that day. So now we will have Berrender to tell what it was like living on the property.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Berrender Johnson. I am a resident of East Williamsburg, Virginia, born and raised. I was only 4 years old when I identified my surroundings as a child living in a small community. My address was 1325 Merrimack Trail, Williamsburg, Virginia, and our house was located at the end of a gravel dirt road, along with 5 other houses, our neighbors. Today, a road with no outlet is called a cul-de-sac. Normally, it is nicely paved, and at the end of that circle, you have nice homes. But then we did not have that luxury. When you got to the end of our road, that was the end. My family consists of our father, Ananias Nick Johnson. His nickname was actually Nick. And my mother, our mother, Laura B. Johnson. There were, like Rosa, also a total of 8 children, 7 girls and 1 boy, our brother, Tyrone Johnson. My older siblings lived with my parents much longer than myself on the property of Mr. Ezekiel Lee, starting with my sister Deborah. So therefore, my parents had older siblings, they lived approximately 20 years at the address of Merrimack Trail. My father worked for the government at the Naval Weapons Station. For 30 years, he worked for the government and a part-time job to support our family. My mother was a stay-home wife and mother. We grew up together as a loving, close-knit family with a fun-filled childhood life. Living at the house of our property at Mr. Zick's house, Mr. Ezekiel Lee, was fun and was safe. We were safe. Back then, we did not have to lock our doors. If a neighbor needed a ride to go somewhere, my father would take them. If a neighbor needed to borrow a cup of flour or sugar, it was no problem. And when that happened, when you need something, then neighbors come together and would do the same for you. I remember my father getting injured on his job. He was working at the Naval Weapons Station. He handled pins, handheld pins and explosive little pins that would explode if they were mishandled. One day, my mother received a phone call stating my father had a serious accident on the job, in which he did. One of my father's hand was serious accident. One of the pins exploded in my father's hands, and he was rushed to the hospital and had emergency surgery. 2 of his fingers were blown away, the top 2, and a hole inserted in the palm of his hand. So with that being said, my father remained in the hospital for a very long time, and all the responsibility fell on my mother. She had to do everything. My mother did not drive. So at that point, the community and neighbors came together and they supported her and us, taking her to stores or wherever she needed to go for groceries. And they were just great. We could not have made it without our neighbors, and we were very blessed to have them. So at that point, like I said, my mother did not drive, and she had to take care of us. So as a community, again, our neighbors came to her rescue wherever she had to go, needed to go, to took her places where she needed to take care of business because my father had to get well before coming home. So we had great neighbors who were loving and caring. Now, there is one person that I would like to elaborate and share with you, which was our landlord, Mr. Ezekiel Lee. He was our landlord. And Mr. Ezekiel Lee, we called him Mr. Zeke. He owned property in which he built houses for people to rent homes so that they would have a place to live. Mr. Zeke, as we call him, was a very fair person. He was attentive to his tenants, and as a little girl, I remember him coming around to our home, asking my parents if everything was okay, and also asking them if they needed anything. He not only did it for our family, he did it for all the families of his tenants. Mr. Zeke was known and respected for his achievements and becoming a successful businessman. My parents spoke very highly of him, and they always said that Mr. Zeke, again, was fair. I remember Mr. Zeke coming to our house again just to check on us, make sure everything was okay. We lived in a small house, all 8 of us, but even though we learned a lot of principles and values. Our parents taught us integrity and how to survive, how to be resilient. We didn't have much, but when we left Mr. Zeke's property, the home, Mr. Zeke was amazed at how well we kept our home. And he asked my parents, how did 10 people live in a 3 to 4 bedroom, 4 home? And there were no holes in the wall, no holes in the floor, no broken windows. It was in great condition. And when we moved to our new home, he would not even accept my parents' last month's rent. And that was a blessing. He acknowledged that. And also my father, who worked very hard, always paid his rent on time, but never late. And therefore, Mr. Zeke would not even would give free rent to people who were in that standard, were in that category. So we appreciated that. From the community, as we grew up, we all went to school together. We, learned together, and from our community came a lot of young people or people our ages who did things to achieve their goals.
One more minute.
Okay, so what I would say is, and I can't share everything with you, have a lot of notes, but I would like to say this. Okay. As we grew up, we not only had a community, but we were raised by, I guess you would say, a village. We respected each other, we were there for each other, and it meant a lot to me to be a part of that community and to realize how blessed we were to have each other as a whole. So I'm glad to be a part of this panel, to be able to share some of the experiences that we did pursue, and took part in as we were growing up. And, that was just what I experienced and my sisters and my siblings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The the slides have been going along, but I did want to go over briefly something about Uncle Zeke's life. Ezekiel's legacy is the fact that he provided affordable housing for black families during the 50s. This was during the Jim Crow era, and people even lived there after he had passed. He was a great support to his family, Christine described him as the wind beneath their wings. He was very generous to the community. He paid my grandmother to care for her parents, and he provided for their expenses and my grandmother's medical expenses. And my grandmother was often sick and went to the hospital. One of the buildings that he had was, it was a restaurant. He was an entrepreneur. One of the buildings was a restaurant or club, and these are just some facts, quick facts that his daughter has given me. And after the restaurant didn't pan out, people started coming to him asking him for a place to live. So he originally built 3 cottages, and people wanted to live in them. So these houses that you see, he owned real estate, many other places. But this was on the original 19 acres that John Henry Lee had purchased. And Uncle Zeke built these houses himself. He bricked them, and he got the bricks from Eastern State Hospital. He cleaned the bricks. He got children in the neighborhood to come down and clean the bricks, and this went over for a period of time. And so if you see some of the houses, they're like wood or have, white paint, and then he bricked all of them. This particular white building is one that my family lived in when I was maybe born there. And anyway, we're walking, these are pictures that Molly Robinson has taken where we're walking along just taking the pictures and going over and by this time, everything was, had been run down. Nobody was taking care of the property. Can you get to the end of an era for me, please? And the county condemned the property. It had gotten in the hands of some of his in-laws, and they didn't have the same sentimental feelings towards the property that we would have had. And they ended up having it bulldozed, and so we call this the end of an era. And it was pretty hurtful to see all of Uncle Zick's work go down, just be destroyed.
Could I just add also that after the death of Uncle Ezekiel, the property stood vacant for 30 years, for 30 whole years. And when I ride by there now, since everything has just been knocked down and cleared up, it truly feels like an end of an era. But there are such good memories in my heart and in our hearts of what he did and who he helped, that it will forever live on. Questions?
Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am?
I just want to know, I heard you referring to the area as the reservation. Does that have anything to do with Native Americans? Were they there before your families were there? Why is that area called the reservation?
That is one that I'm not really positive. There are different views on that. Now, the Kiskiak natives did live there probably 1600s, and maybe even before that. But they had gotten run off. Now, there were black people living on the reservation for sure in the 1600s. So we are not sure where they got the name from. I have a feeling that the Union soldiers may have given them that name, but I'm not sure. So I don't say, I just give my opinion.
We have one comment from online, or on the Zoom, from Carol Miller. She writes, I was trying to send to Rosa Lee. We are connected through Ossie Judson Lee, my second cousin. Our grandmothers were sisters on his mother's, Helen Carter's side. She wants to convey, she was there the summer of 1958 on Route 60 when he was involved in the accident. He was driving a pickup truck that collided with a Greyhound bus in front of Carter's Grove. And we did not know who he was at first until Josh Palmer said, "That's Helen's boy." And it's still distressing.
Tell her thank you so
For
much.
sharing, yes.
Tell her thank you for that comment.
I'd just like to say thank you very much for sharing an American family story. I think that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Beautiful family story.
Thank you. Jackie?
I hope that next time we have time to go through the family history, we would hear a little bit more about Ezekiel Lee, who owned all the property in Queens Lake.
No, he didn't own all of the property in Queens
Some.
Lake, and I have more notes, so I wish that we could have gotten a little bit more about it. He did, he was one of the few black, well, not few, he was the only black person that owned property on the Colonial Parkway in the 50s, and he was threatened to sell that property, and he didn't. And his barn that was on that property on the Colonial Parkway was burned. So after that, he did sell. I don't know how many acres it was, but no, he didn't own all of the property in Queens Lake.
Some.
Some, yes, some. And his daughter Nancy did tell me that after he sold it, that whoever bought it, I think they bought it for maybe like about $20,000 or something like that, and they sold it for a right-of-way for some type of utility for over $100,000.
Okay, I had my hand raised, but since she asked the question, I was going to tell about the property that Uncle Zig did own. And I remember the night when it was burned. He came to the house and he cried like a baby. Now, he's older than my dad. My dad is younger than him. But, you know, to see the great Uncle Zig crying like that, so I remember when it happened, you know, when it was burned. But since that's been said, that's why I had my hand raised before she.
Thank you, Christine.
I didn't quite remember if you said, do you own your land now? Any of your land? Have you considered?
You mean for the original 19 acres or?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Rosa said that she just sold a portion. My brother's 2 children live on it. Another Uncle Alex's granddaughter lives on it, and Uncle Lee's daughter lives on it. And that's right, Nancy, his adopted daughter, lives on it as well.
Okay.
So yeah, there are some of, yeah, my brother has a piece of property on it as well.
That's good to know because, you know, we lose so much of our land. So it's good to know you've retained
Yes.
your family properties. Thank you.
Good evening, afternoon. Lillian Johnson. I'm from Newport News, and this is my sister Brenda Hill from Hampton. We're cousins to these young ladies. But just growing up in that era, when we would come to Williamsburg, it was like going to New York. And Uncle Zig, and they would always just show us so much love. And when they come to Hampton to visit my grandmother, Oni Taylor, they would always come with stories, come with goods, and we just enjoyed that fellowship. And yes, they would always have plenty of food. And if there wasn't enough at the table, I remember one year when Thelma, she's gone on, we had chicken, and they didn't have enough at the time, so they went out back. And she said, I'm not eating that. You know, but that's what we did. And so the stories are warm-hearting, and I'm so glad that this is being told.
Thank you, Lillian. And there is so much to tell that we just can't tell it all in an hour. But we do have some of our history in the local Black Histories Project, and you can Google that and find that under Life After, I'm sorry, not Life After Eminent Domain, but Eminent Domain will bring it up for you.
the video of the waterman, is that still do we still have like African-American watermen?
That was a video that Colonel Williamsburg did, and it was called, I think it was called The Music of Williamsburg. So that, that was an enactment. But I'm sure that there are watermen still existing, but, none that we are aware of. And I do want to say that John Henry Lee, my great-grandfather, he continued to do some continued to be an oyster tonger, and Rosa's father at 18 years old was an oyster tonger too. And we always had boats around. If you notice, there was a boat on the film for Uncle Zick, and they always were fishing, crabbing, and still doing, going out on the water doing something. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Just just 1 second. Just wanted to remind you, and the food is already set up for a reception out here from 5:30 to 6:30, so we hope you'll stay, mix and mingle, and have some treats. Thank you.